Joshua Smith here, and welcome to the GSD Mode podcast. Now get shit done and smash that subscribe button now. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast, where every single week I interview top entrepreneurs, top real estate professionals, and straight up top badasses that are out there dominating their spaces. They're people choosing to not live a life of mediocrity, but instead to go out there and create big, amazing, epic lives for themselves, for their families, as well as have a big impact on others. And today, guys, we got another rock star guest on the show. Somebody I've been excited to have on the show for a long time. This is a extremely successful real estate entrepreneur, team leader, one of the top in the country, one of the top here actually in my market in Arizona. And we were talking right before I hit the record button of, for my whole entire career, I've always seen her name at the top in my own market. And so just to give a little bit more background, our guest today got started in the real estate industry in 2003 as an investor, which led to a full-time career in real estate, and since has sold well over 1,000 homes, was awarded America's Best Real Estate Agents Award, is in the top 1% of realtors in the country, probably worldwide as well, ranked the 7th top realtor in Arizona, the whole entire state out of it, and there's 50,000 plus agents in Arizona, which in our county, we're in the most saturated real estate market per capita on the planet. We have over 40,000 agents just in our county, is also married, mother of 4 kids, and just like I said, massively kicking ass. And I'm super excited and stoked and honored to have my friend Jennifer WEHNER on the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Josh. Very nice words there. And so obviously well-respected. Always admired everything that you've accomplished and hustled and crushing it. And I think we could all take a page out of your book out of just that raw work ethic you have.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things. I don't know if you've experienced this in your career, but it's like that work ethic and that hustle helps you in the beginning. But it's like this thing that's the virtue can also then become your vice. And over the last couple of years, I've had to learn that the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
So,
facing your fears, because a lot of us in work ethic, we're just in that mode, but sometimes we have to stop, think what's going to be strategy. How can I do this more efficiently? And then you get out of your comfort zone because you have fears. I have fears of spreadsheets, for example, or profit and loss statements, but I've had to face my fears, especially this year, and out of my comfort zone, but I know that's why I'm growing, because I'm extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah, love it. So before we get into all the big things that you're doing today and you continue to do to create all the success that you've created, I'd love to rewind the clocks and get into the early stages of this journey. And we know for real estate agents, most don't make it. Those first 3 years, 90% or more, dropping out in those first 3 years, and it can be very difficult. So it sounds like you started off, you invested your life savings, bought a couple investment properties that ended up doing really well. And I don't know if that led immediately into the real estate career, but kind of walk us through like why real estate, how real estate, and then I really want to break down like what those first couple of years look like for you.
Well, like you, I've always been a hustler. Not to fast forward a little bit, but I literally had a baby coming out of my body negotiating a short sale and told the doctor when he said you have to push, I said, I need 5 more minutes. I've always saw the opportunity of the more I work, I can create this on my own, and the more I could make, and I could design my own life. I'm extremely independent. I tried to run away when I was 6 years old with a backpack full of stuffed animals because that's who I am. So I was finishing business school, waiting tables, and I had saved up, I think, like $12,000 of tip money, which doesn't sound like a lot maybe as a realtor, but back then when you're making $100 to $200 a night, it's a lot of money. And I was going to open up a tanning salon. So I was going around, driving around, pricing out tanning beds, pricing out leasing space, looking at what people were making, and starting to put my business plan together. And then my husband had a couple friends here that were flipping homes, and we lived in Huntington Beach, which the cheapest home that we could have gotten, which would still have been a really good investment today, was like $400,000. We bought 2 homes on the same day for the same price we were paying in just rent. Both of our mortgages added up to what our rent was. We flipped those, which immediately I got my license so we could do our own investments, started working with investors, started buying multifamily homes. We bought some land and developed it and started doing new construction when the market just had no inventory back in '05, and did really well until 2008. So that's when I had to reinvent myself, which I know you personally, you were ahead of the change, and it caught me with my pants down. So I didn't know, I was still so new to this business and didn't have any kind of tribe or mentor. It was me by myself doing it alone, figuring it out, because again, I'm independent, and one thing I don't do a lot for is ask for help. So, and the tribe I had back then, the people I surrounded myself by, were not people of your caliber or just the caliber of people I surround myself with today.
Yeah, love it. So then when the crash happened and you had to reinvent yourself, because in there it sounds like you were starting this investment journey in Huntington Beach. At what point did you get here to Arizona? Like, when did that come about?
Oh, we moved right away, and it didn't hurt that somebody, even in the 8th safest city in the nation at the time, somebody jumped the fence and charged me. So just safety wise, we got in the car and went. We're a young family. I was 25 years old. I had a daughter, and I wanted to create a great life for her and own a house and have a career. And to try to start that in Orange County was a lot harder than it was to start it in Chandler, Arizona, where I bought my first house for $120,000, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet, nice backyard, safe neighborhood, close to everything. I thought I was in heaven. So, my daughter went with me everywhere. She went with me to open houses. She would color flyers, make little houses, draw houses. And she grew up in the industry. And though she's not licensed today, now she's 22, she is our graphic designer for our team. And she runs her own independent business and has, now I'm working on her to leverage, because she's scared of that, with virtual assistants. But it's been her life. She's grown up in the real estate industry.
Yeah, that's awesome. So then, you talked about the market crash and you had to reinvent yourself. And, a lot of realtors might think that reinventions happen just during these insane crashes, right? But it's constantly happening, whether that be, times like now where everything's becoming, technology based in the online world that we operate and live in, and competing with iBuyer. We're always having to reinvent ourselves. And, so with that being said, like, what did you do during that time to because you had to totally do a 180 in your business. So market crashes, it's a huge wake up call. As you mentioned, you got caught with your pants down at that moment. Like, what did you do to turn that around and start pursuing and growing your because it sounds like the birth of your traditional real estate career?
Yeah. So that was 2008 when I realized that I was going to need some help. So I did something that I should have done at the beginning of my career, and that is hire a coach. So I hired a coach. I was involved in a mastermind. They were a high-level REO. Unfortunately, it was the end of '08, because what I thought was the reinvention solution back then was early in 2008, I got into commercial, which was even a worse market than residential. So I did that for about 6 months. Terrible. Did some network marketing, which, if anything, just helped my sales skills, and then got into REO. I did have some accounts, nowhere near the accounts if I would have gotten in like 2007 I would have had, but then I just jumped in and faced the wonderful world of short sales. So it was not fun. There were some short sales that were great. I can tell you that I've helped people that when they truly needed help that are still friends today, because I was there at their darkest moments of their life. So in that aspect, I'm extremely grateful for that opportunity. And, it wasn't all about selling homes for top dollar in record amount of time like it is today. It was so much like, you saved my life. Like, we were getting divorced. My husband was murdered. One of them was my husband was murdered while I was 8 months pregnant. It's those stories that will last forever. So I reinvented myself by doing short sales. And then I did in 2010, as I saw the market, kind of that bell curve shifting again, getting into more SEO and internet and converting internet leads. And I had an investor find one of our blogs and contact us. And then he ended up flipping 50 homes with us in 2011. So we had an auction business. We're at the auctions every day. I was pulling over to the side of the road, comping homes, like on my iPad, because, we had to get him an answer in like 2 minutes. What can I sell this house by? So I just got extremely good at pricing homes, and it didn't hurt that I have background in flipping and REO, BPOs, those fun things. So did that. And then I started to reinvent myself again in 2014 because the market shifted again, right? It's always shifting, where it wasn't as easy to do SEO, and pay-per-click was there, but then pay-per-click is a lot of conversion, and to do that all by myself while wearing 50 hats didn't make a lot of sense either. So 2014, I started the team. So I started with my administrative person, then I started with my first buyer's agent, and I've made a lot of mistakes along the way. This could be a 15-hour podcast and still wouldn't have enough time to talk about them. But I can tell you that like right now, it's all about like the team structure. And that's what I'm focusing on, whether you're a tiny team, which can be extremely profitable and keep you in your superpower and zone of genius, or you can have a large team. And if you do have a large team, you're going that route. I feel right now, I think this is still a very hot topic with large teams, is profitability. And, I was talking to one of my friends out in San Diego. His superpower is P&L, and he's like $50 million or more. He's like, maybe 2 or 3 of them are profitable. So it's the profitability and making sure compensation and the right people and the right seats in the bus. And it's still going to be ongoing. There's still going to be changes. People that were good might not be good enough as you grow. People that were good in a certain position, maybe as you grow, you can see they're better in a different position. So there's been a lot of people issues that I think it's been the most challenging part of my business. And even if you don't have a team, you could probably relate, like you have had clients that have been difficult to work with, and you're trying to like dig into like psychology to figure out like how you can, communicate better and figure it out. So kind of a long-winded answer there, but.
Yeah, no, I love it. So then, if we look at your team day, because this is a question I get constantly, and not just a question, but also a comment, when I'm talking to other team leaders or aspiring team leaders or even mega team leaders, right? The number one comment when I ask them what their biggest obstacle is, it's finding great talent. Right? What is, I know you talked about all the mistakes that you made and yeah, hiring the right people and knowing how to hire, knowing how to lead. I know for me, the hardest learning lesson that I ever had to overcome during this real estate journey has been becoming a great leader, developing into a great leader, and understanding that my ability of being a great real estate agent has nothing to do with my ability of being a great team leader, right? They're two totally separate things. And, it's a hard lesson to go out there and learn. So, what does that look like today? Like, what are you doing to go out there and identify and find great people? Because you got to find them, you've got to onboard them, you've got to continue to inspect what you expect. You talked about making sure the right people in the right seats, right? All at the same time, because as you're adding people and growing, when those hyper growth modes, right? You also got to still make sure that you're profitable with it, which can be hard to do, right? So, what does that look like today, for you when it comes to your structure and how you find and manage great people?
Well, I think you started with a topic that there's 2 topics here. There's the people part of it, and then there's you. And you talked about being a leader. So the way I have looked at this is I was 3 different things. I was a salesperson, I was a business owner, and then I was a leader. And I've been doing salesperson my entire life. So, that's not something I really had to pour into as much. Business owner, I've definitely needed to work on, but one of the most challenging hats I've worn is being a leader. So that to me is like what the self-care is all about. So in like the morning, I wake up at between 4 and 5 a.m. I listen to a podcast depending on that day, like what I really need to focus on. So it's been a lot more leadership podcasts and mindset, because mindset is absolutely everything. My diet is, I do have cheat days, but I've realized like I can't even do too much of that because if my diet's not on point, my emotions and cognitive functions aren't on point, which means I'm not going to be the best leader that day. So I go to the gym, I go to the sauna, and during the sauna, again, I'm listening to a podcast or I'm meditating, and I get ready for the day. And I don't even look at my phone until 3 to 4 hours until after I've been up. So I'm not training my brain to be reactive and distracted. So I know when I'm the best version of myself, I'm going to make the best decisions. I'm going to be able to handle my emotions better. So if an employee doesn't do what they were supposed to do, I'm not just going to fly off the handle or make an irrational decision. I'm going to be a much more cognizant, present leader. So then that's the part of the leadership. I did read a book. Oh gosh, I have it here and I know it'll come to me. Lead for God's Sake. I just finished that book and it was really awesome to me because I don't know if I'm an Aries or if it's just that I'm Irish or whatever it is, but I can have a temper. And a lot of times when people wouldn't do things my way, I love the F word and the F word would get used and I, would go into my mode and that it would come out of love, but it didn't seem like it was coming out of love. So that book really taught me like, hey, I can still be, come with the same intent, but the way you deliver the message, deliver it out of love. So that really was one of the best leadership books I've read this year. And then there's the people part of it. And I can't say that I'm going to email you the blueprint today and this is just follow this and like you'll never make a mistake because it's a journey and it's ongoing. But what we do have a process that we follow. And like right now, like where I'm at in my business, I'm almost looking at like the red flags more than I'm looking at like the good points because I identify myself. I'm a high I personality. I love people. I can like you. And before I'd be like, ooh, I like you. It's going to work. Awesome. Come on board without really looking thoroughly and following a process. So I have to separate my high I personality anytime I'm interviewing with somebody. And we know that it cannot. First of all, I don't do first interviews. I do the second interviews. And then I get the input from my operations manager, who is an SC. I get the input from my partner, Christine, she is a DI. So I'm getting different opinions and then there is also a working interview. So they come in and they have a chance to test the job before they ever make the leap to quit or wherever they're doing before they can come. We also invite them to a team meeting so they can see the culture of the meeting because our core values are extremely important to us. So when I find that we're following the process, and I'm happy to send that process to people, I've gotten them from some of the mentors that we have, and we've added some stuff to personalize it to us. And we are in massive growth right now, just with the amount of leads that are ongoing, and we are having to add agents as well as some more administrative people. So it's something that, like right now, when I get off, I'm going to be talking about a restructure of a certain job position. So it's still an ongoing journey with that. But it's the number one most important thing is not just finding the right person. And they always say hiring slowly and firing quickly, but it's finding the right person and then putting them in the right seat in the bus. And it's also, don't wait for 3 months to have that performance review if things are going wrong. So like last week, there was an employee of mine that broke a core value. And me a year ago might have been like, oh, I don't want to deal with it. This is just, it's not the worst thing in the world, and we'll just deal with it at the performance review. I did not do that. I said immediately, you broke a core value and it's unacceptable and cannot happen again. And that person's probably going to be leaving my organization today. So that's the way it is. But if I am not willing to stand by my core values, even though it's going to put me into a place that it's going to be more work for me, then nobody's going to respect my core values. And our core values of having a positive team and family spirit, I will never allow team members to abuse or just be a negative, toxic energy to other team members.
Yeah, love it. Now, would you say, because it sounds like, and I mean, core values get thrown around all the time, core values, mission statements, and people just pull them off somebody else's wall, right?
I do that.
Right? They don't take the time to how do what are my core values that I operate by? Because your business is an extension of you, right? So like, hey, these are the, whatever you want to call it, core values or whatever word that you want to use.
I could use them in 3 words, and it's really hungry, humble, and capable. So they have to want it, right? And I don't just mean like, oh yeah, I say I want it. I can't tell you how many agents that say they're motivated and then they come and their work ethic doesn't match their motivation verbal statement they made to us. But when I could see that they're showing up day after day and they're dedicated and they're trying, they're hungry. Humble, meaning that they have to be coachable. They have to be learning to have self-awareness, look within, and know where their strengths and weaknesses are, and consistently try to get better. And be listening to other people of the team. I can tell you, there's no way I know everything. And I'm not a leader that wants to have meetings where I stand up and talk for an hour. God, that would be like the worst team meeting. I want the collaboration because there's so many brilliant minds on my team and I want to learn from everybody. So if you're not humble and you're not coachable, you are not for our team. And capable. And this is the hard part because I've had people that are both hungry and humble, but they're not capable. So they have to be capable at the job at the end of the day.
Yeah, love it. So then would you say that a fair statement is like your number one job as a leader is making sure then that you are operating at a level 10 of the core values? So you're leading by example.
Yeah.
Then from there, you're finding people that are a core value fit first, but then also have the skill set to do the job. Because it's like, hey man, there can be an A player in another person's organization. It doesn't mean they're going to be an A player in my organization, right? So, I mean, would you say that's a fair statement?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. They will definitely look to you for example. So if you're like, make 30 calls a day, and meanwhile you're like at happy hour and you're not making your calls and you're sleeping in and you're, yeah, they're not going to listen to the words that are coming out of your mouth. They're going to look at what is Jen doing. So it's just like your kids, right? Like if you told your kids like, you need to eat vegetables and be healthy, and meanwhile you're stuffing like donuts and Twinkies down your throat, do you think they're going to go to the refrigerator and try to pull out broccoli or carrots? No, they're going to, do what you did. So it is, it's definitely that lead by example. Absolutely. 100% of the time. And I know for me, it's a consistent journey of being the best version of myself. And I will tell you that if anything, I've been too hard on myself. And I find that with women, especially, we are our worst critics. I'm always looking at, I did that wrong. Oh, I did that wrong. And I'm not even giving myself a chance to pat myself on the back or, really like having my own back. And I have more of my own back this year and I'm much more confident, but at the same time, I'm not looking backwards. I'm looking forwards and I'm looking upwards and to the people around me and really the people I admire in this world. Like, how can I get there? What's the next step? So my team does see that. I sometimes get on their nerves because, I'll see like, if they're hungover, they're not going to get much sympathy from me. I'm going to say like, well, it's physiology. Like if you're going to be drinking a lot of alcohol, you're not going to be coming up to work in your best state of mind.
Yep. Love it. So then from there, one thing that we talked about before we hit the record button was your tracking system, right? Like we need to know, and this is something that most real estate agents, team leaders, I know they hate doing it. It's the unsexy part of the business, right? But KPIs, tracking, spreadsheets, but it's so essential, right? Knowing, are we winning each and every day as an organization, as well as individually, is each person winning in their role? Can you kind of break down what that looks like what your overall KPIs and trackers look like and how that's reported and how if somebody's doing their job and winning that day or week or month?
Yes, we have what we call a greatness tracker, and that's going to be looking at the contacts that we're making. So 30 contacts a day, how many face-to-face. Big thing for us right now is conversion rate. So there's 2 conversion rates that we're tracking religiously. So that's going to be the appointment set rate. So of every 10 contacts, we should be setting 65% right now is our team average. We're setting 65% of appointments. And then from contact to close, that should be 30%. And there is going to be a ramp up period. So if a new agent comes to my team, they're not going to have 30% in the first month, unless they're got really lucky, which in case go buy a lottery ticket, because they're not going to come in that month and close that month. So it is going to be a longer term. It's going to be a longer term game when it comes to that. But something we can look at right away is going to be that contact that rate. And if they're making 30 calls a day. So we have role play 5 days a week at our team. So that role play is really, it's going to be listening to calls. Like I'll share my good calls and bad calls. Everybody on our team has to be willing to share both our good calls and our bad calls, so other team members can hear it and hear the live calls. It's not just role play. And then, so with the face-to-face, like right now, my team is doing not as much lead generating because I am providing a lot of the leads. So in the past, it's been more making sure you're prospecting every day. So when we say prospecting, for me, I have to prospect. I do have to make 30 calls of prospecting a day. My team has to make 30 calls at least a day, but a lot of that is going to be more of the follow-up or the initial contact with the leads that are coming in.
So then can you explain, when you said 65% as far as an appointment set conversion rate, and you said like 1 out of 10 as far as the contacts made, is that like if somebody had 100 contacts, and I'm assuming a contact means they picked up the phone, so they're having a conversation with them, right? When you say 1 out of 10, is that like, okay, hey, if you made 100, now we're looking at 10. So that means then if you had 100 contacts, you should have 6.5 appointments set. Or how do you calculate that?
Appointments.
What's that?
So these are not cold calls. I'm not. These are not like a slide broadcast or a farming call or obviously getting the phone book out or whatever that is. These are warmer leads that we're providing. So that is me as a team. That's the way we've structured our team. Right now, I'm providing my team members between 70 and 80% of their total business. We're cultivating 1,000 leads a month, and 150 of those a month at least are warm to hot leads, people that are looking to buy in the next 3 to 6 months at a minimum. So, with that being said, I would say that if somebody's listening to this podcast, their appointment rate's it's not going to be 65%. But if you're calling your VIP clients and you do like a real estate review, so you're calling all of your past clients and saying, just like a financial advisor, as an agent, I want to get together with my clients one-on-one every year to review your real estate assets. And so that might just be that one house, but maybe they see they have equity and they want to buy an investment property, or maybe it's time to upsize or downsize, or maybe it's just a really good meeting where they understand all their options. They don't want to do anything, but it is a referral magnet like no other. So booking a real estate review, you could probably at least get a 70 to 80% appointment rate for every 10 contacts you make, because you're calling the people that you know, like, and trust to ask them about meeting. Like, who says no to that? So yeah, it's obviously that metric I just gave you is not going to, it wouldn't be like if I just turned on Google today, that metric wouldn't apply. That meant we had about a 4% total conversion rate from all of our Google leads, which we still do, but that is definitely not like my top 5 pillars of business today.
Yeah. And that's a killer conversion rate for any kind of pay-per-click. It's like we're at 1 out of 43 with paid Facebook ads. And I think that that's so important for our listeners to understand, because we hear these percentages from other agents, but you've got to really do a deep dive into their business. Like one of my friends has a huge ISA department doing like 90 closings a month from just the ISA division, and the conversion ratio is huge. But what people don't maybe understand is she has $100,000 monthly radio ad spend. So these are sign calls and radio come list me calls, which is totally different than ISA maybe calling for sell by owners, expireds, or online internet leads. Right? So you got to always understand the context to those percentages.
Absolutely. Radio above, I think, probably almost any other lead source is going to be more of a come list me call. So they're extremely, extremely expensive, but they're more come list me's.
Yep. Love it. So then, one thing that I was just on your website, checking out your website before we jumped on this call, and my mind was blown when I saw all your Zillow reviews. You have is at least right now when we're creating this, and maybe more as we've been creating this podcast, but 357 5-star Zillow reviews. And I went on your Zillow profile, and it wasn't just all these reviews. Like, you had it strategically set up. You had a custom, professional video on there. You had, you've been very obviously to have that level of success with it. I honestly have, I think, like 25, and then I gave up because I was like, I'm sending out like $50, Amazon gift cards. Like, it was just so much chasing. I'm like, screw this, man. Yeah. Right. So like, what are you doing? Because the question I get all the time is like, how do I get it, man? Like, people just aren't filling them out because they got to create an account after the close. And, what do you, number one, what is the impact? And not even with Zillow, but just getting testimonials and having that social proof, right? What is the impact that makes in your business? And then whether it's Zillow or any other platform for collecting them, what are you doing to collect these so successfully?
So, it's all about catering to the client and setting expectations. So the client, we know if Yelp were, there's a couple of my good friends do extremely well at Yelp. And I feel like you can really go all in on one platform and anything else is going to be secondary. I went more all in on Zillow. So while I have probably like 30 Google reviews and I think I have like 15 Yelp reviews, all of my energy has been put into Zillow because that's where the consumer's going. So I'm going where the consumer's going. And I would never get a single review if I did not provide a great client experience. So the client experience is definitely our top goal as a team. And I will only hire people, again, with our core values that provide that client experience. So it could be a great salesperson, but maybe they're not as ethical, and that person would not be on our show. A lot of those reviews are not just from me, but they're from the people that work with me. We set expectations. So the first time they get a Zillow review request is not at closing or after closing, after they're trying to move in with boxes and, they've had to learn how to work the thermostat and, oh, hey, can you write me this really beautiful Zillow review? Probably not going to happen. So, I'm going to steal this one from one of my top agents. She has like these little things that she'll say that I'm like, ooh, I like that. But you set it up front during the consultation. My goal here is to provide you the best possible client experience. So you're shouting my name from the rooftops and you give me a 5-star Zillow review. And so we set that up front, and then anytime there's a good moment in the transaction, like, you just negotiated a difficult BINSER, inspection requests, that's a great time. Or, this lender that wasn't getting an update to us or the appraisal back, or you send the appraisal package in to get the appraisal at value, whatever hero moment you have throughout the transaction, it's a good time. Like, just want to let you know, remind you, like, part of my goal here is not only that you're happy, but you're so happy that you write me that 5-star Zillow review. So then at closing, like while they're filling everything, all their paperwork, that's the perfect time that we have seen to ask for it. And we don't just ask for it, like we'll be at closing, like with the iPad, like, hey, I just wrote something up. But a lot of time, if it doesn't work that way, a lot of times the clients are just writing it up at closing anyways, because we asked for them then before not 2 days after they close, when they sign. So whether that be 3 days, 2 days, or the day of closing, like ask for them when they sign. You can always go after the fact, but the more distance you put with the closing of escrow date, the less chance that you're going to get it.
Yeah, love it. So then, when you talk about providing an amazing experience, because a lot of people say that.
Yeah.
But like, what does that really mean? Right? Can you, and I know that you're not just somebody that says that you're doing it. What does that mean? Like, what do you do to go above and beyond that the average realtor may do? That's a good realtor, not just, not all of the bad realtors out there, but like, what do you do to create that intentional, great above and beyond experience?
Yeah. And, it's all going to be like whatever it takes to create that. And I think that, and I don't mean to say this in a negative way, that most agents perceive they have more value than they really do. They think that MLS is value, and it's not. MLS is just a tool, but it's not value. So right now we have inventory problems, and we have about less than 2 months supply of inventory. even in the luxury end. I had a luxury buyer a few months ago, and there were, he was going up to 3 million, and there were literally 3 homes he was interested in total, 3. 3 years ago, I would have had 40 homes to show him. This year I had 3. So what are our agents doing right now? We're going off market. We're calling expireds. We're looking at investor deals. We're calling our agents. We're going to the top agent network. We're going to Facebook groups. We're going to our internal team. We're exhausting all options. And in the last week, we've put 2 off-market properties under contract. So that's a big, huge value proposition. We are not Uber agents. I actually saw one of my team members say this 2 weeks ago, and she immediately got her hand slapped. Her response to a buyer's inquiry on an undermarket property was, please let me know if you would, this one's under contract, please let me know if there are any other homes you would like to see. And I had a nice little WTH moment, like, where was your head at? Pull it out of your butt, because that is not their job to go find them houses, it's yours. And so we do have a buyer's advantage that outlays our value proposition for buyers. This is exactly what we're gonna do. So there's 12 items on there that we're going to do. And when we're meeting with them, and it might be for the first time and they just want to go see 123 Main Street, we're bringing a few other homes that we think are going to work. So they might be similar to that home. We might have one that's $50,000 cheaper, but is outdated, just so they can see that we're just not the standard agent that is just, pretty much an order taker, that we're like thinking outside the box. Maybe you're looking at a $400,000 house, but a $300,000 fixer-upper is better for you because you've created equity and you could find a better location, and you make all the cosmetics prettier the way you want it. But maybe it's not, and you buy that $400,000 house. Or maybe it's a $450,000 house, but it's only going to cost you an extra $167 a month, and you got everything you wanted, and you could live there a lot longer and be happier there. So whatever it is, like, we are true consultants, and we're not just consultants on real estate. And we're consultants on even money. Like, I mean, if you look at like where mortgages are and where people perceive value to be, like, oh, I don't want the value of the house to go down if the market crashes. Well, what happens if it does? I had a $300,000 investment property I bought in 2005, and it went down to like $120,000. Today, it's worth $390,000. If I was living in that house, who cared that it went down to $120,000? I was there. I was happy. I loved the neighborhood. I was, had a lot of my Christmas tree fit perfectly in the living room, whatever it is. But it eventually comes up, and it always does, because historically we have appreciation. We have 3% appreciation historically. So if you're buying to, make $300,000 in a year off your home, yeah, that might be an issue. But, as far as that client experience, really being the expert, and that's all going to be, we're balls to the wall with training. Like, I'm not going to lie, like our team is not for the faint of heart, because we're always having to learn. We're having to learn what's going on in the market. I know there was a bill that passed in NAR this last week that it's not to the final bill yet, but that's going to have a huge impact on the industry if it passes. We're aware of that change. So we're constantly knowing exactly what's going on in the market. We're looking at tools like the Cronfer report every day. If it's a seller that we're working with, probably the hardest thing that I've had to deal with sellers is honesty. And before I get any like backlash on that, I mean honesty with pricing and exactly what it's going to take to get the home to sell. Because most of us know, like, when the home's not selling, it's not because we didn't put that Matterport tour onto the home. It's because we didn't price it right, and we have to price and adjust. And, give us a little break. We're not psychics. I'm not Alison Dubois from the Medium. I have to see how the market responds. And if the market, and I know how many showings I should be seeing in that price range in that neighborhood for that season. And if I'm not seeing that, or we've seen the activity, but we're not seeing the offers, I know what it's going to take in price. Maybe it's 2%, maybe it's 5%, maybe it's 10%, whatever it is. I know the advice I need to give my sellers so they can sell their home and know what their goal is. We all assume that every seller wants top dollar, and that's not true. Some sellers are willing to sacrifice a little bit of money for the less hassle. So providing them options like, yes, we can work with investors. So maybe it's open door offer pad, or maybe it's Bob and Mary investor, whatever it is, like this is everything that I'm going to accomplish here. I'm going to give you every single strategy. You get to pick the best one for you. And then along the way of this journey, it's surprise and delight. So, I love gifting, and I like catching people off guard. So they get a little gift up front with a little card and, picture and, our promise to them. And then one thing that catches buyers off guard, and I totally stole this from another agent and I just love it, is right after the inspection period, we give them like a little popcorn bin with microwave popcorn, some candy. And it just says, hey, kick back, chill, and Netflix. And now that we're past this hurdle, we're on to closing. And it's probably one of the most stressful parts of the transaction beyond, just the negotiations, is like that bincer. And I'm sure every agent, when they're negotiating like GFCI, loose toilets at base, like termites, like I don't know who loves that. I don't. But the clients appreciate that we are empathetic to their pain. And then at closing, of course, we get them a gift. I actually think that's not the most important time to just spend all your money to give them this amazing gift, because it's almost expected now, but we get them a little gift. But for my VIP clients, I get them gifts all the time. And a lot of times it's not a moment. It's me, like I use Facebook as a CRM. We have everybody in lists. So if I can see my client had a baby, I send them a WEHNER Group onesie. A little rattle. Or I could see that like their daughter graduated. I'll rip a whole bunch of pictures from their daughters from their Facebook page, put it on a send out card and send it to them. And I actually saw that card. It was on the graduation table at their graduation ceremony. So it's just making this about them and not about us. So the client experience is something that we're constantly reinventing, thinking of how we can make it better, because how it looks today is not how it's going to look tomorrow or next week or next year.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Yeah. And you see a lot of these big, amazing, great companies have wow departments and wow coordinators. That's their full-time job, is just to wow their VIP clients. And I think sometimes we might think, oh, that's the thing for big companies. We may not think of doing that and implementing that in a real estate business, but it's so powerful. And obviously you're proof of that. How do you identify, because not all clients are equal. And I know that's terrible to say, but the reality is you're going to have some of those VIP clients that maybe have brought you in $200,000 of commissions over your career. And then other people that might just be a one-time transaction. And, how do you classify like who's VIP and who's not? Like what does that look like?
Well, of course there's the referral aspect, right? But I think the number one thing is going to be, does this person bring your joy to your life? When they call on your phone, are you looking at your phone like, I don't want to talk to this person. Oh God, your stomach hurts. You have to call them back. And if there's any agent that's done more than 3 transactions that says every client's amazing, you're a liar. There have been clients that have texted me at 10 o'clock at night for just berating me for something that I didn't do or whatever. And it's those clients, when they close, I put them into a do not contact category. They're not a VIP. I don't ever want to do business with them again, let alone have referrals for people that might be like that. So I define who my perfect client is by not just location and price, but also are they a pleasure to work with, and if they're a pleasure to work with, they probably have more friends anyways. So they're going to give you more referrals. Those people that are abusive, I fire clients if I don't feel it's a fit. I know I'm not going to want to do a good job for them because I don't like them. I'm not afraid to fire people and free up my time for the clients that I do want to work with. But the clients that I do want to work with and bring me joy, I absolutely want to put 80% of my energy to them, because what I see is the flip. We get these clients that are nice, they're great to work with, and we just don't have to call them, and we're not fielding as much negativity, so we're just not staying in touch with them as much. And then we have these clients that are abusive and calling us nonstop and texting us, and all of our energy is going there. And it needs to be flipped. It needs to be, we give those negative people less energy and the positive people more energy. So I define and I ask our agents that I coach with, who is your ideal client? What does that look like to you? I love first-time home buyers. I love military vets. I like people that are nice. I don't know.
Now then, do you cater your marketing to really target and attract your ideal clients. So it's not just kind of a once they become a client, we've identified that, but also to on the front end and top of funnel marketing where it's really targeted to those ideal clients?
Marketing, maybe not as much, because I think that, and gosh, I'm not Dan Kennedy here. So, I'm sure he passed away this year, marketing genius, but we do get clients from all the same. Marketing can attract a great client, it can attract a not so great client, but our prospecting, that can absolutely be catering to your favorite client. So if I have 25 VIPs in my database, the people that I just had a wonderful experience with, whether things went wrong in the transaction or not, like things are always going to go wrong. It could have been a really, really rocky transaction, but there was synergy there. Like, I'm going to call those people and love on them a whole lot more, and then just treating everybody the same. Because treating everybody the same, I could be cold calling, having the same conversation, then call my VIP next, have the same conversation. And that's not going to be, I believe in quality over quantity when it comes to that.
Yep. Love it. So then, what I love about extremely successful people like yourself is, you get all these things done, right? But we all have the same 24 hours available to us. And so many are like, oh, I just don't have the time. That becomes a constant excuse, right? Mm-hmm. But you're finding the time, creating the time to focus on your health and be at the gym every single morning and do all the self-development that you talked about. You're creating and finding and making the time to be there for your kids, to do your self-development, then to be there for your clients, for your team. So can you kind of talk to us about how you structure, whether it's, through systems and processes that you have, and whether it be, you want to call it self-accountability or whatever, but how do you structure it for yourself to get all of these things done so you're not sacrificing an important element of your life, as well? Then after that, like, what do you do to do that as a team collectively as well?
I'd say the number one thing here is priorities. And I don't care where you're at in the business, whether you are a solo agent wearing 9 different hats to a mega agent leader that is out of production. So every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So for me, what's more important now is not my to-do list, but it's my not to-do list. What am I not going to do? And I love that list more than I liked my to-do list, because the things that I don't want to do, I don't do passionately, I don't do well, I leverage that out. So if you're a solo agent or you're a mega team, whatever it is, you're looking at what your perfect calendar looks like, what your perfect day and week looks like, creating that. And for me, that's been one of the things that I'm still focusing on right now as I've grown. So I'm still in production, but I have an inner circle team. So I have an executive assistant and a showing agent. And then I have my outer circle. That's just our WEHNER group team. So we have 15 outside sales agents currently. So we building that not to-do list and making sure that I am staying within my zone of genius. I'm making my calls every day, not making an excuse, because if I wanted to, I can get into my email and I could spend all day in my email, or I can go on Facebook and spend all day in Facebook. It's limiting the distractions. And if there's one piece of mindset advice that I would give to every person in the entire world that has access to a smartphone, and I got this from an amazing guy who doesn't know me yet, but I really want to meet him, is Jim Quick, Kwik. Awesome podcasts. They're all about 9 minutes long, 9 to 20 minutes long. So they're really short and easy to digest. But he is on the podium about the number one thing that you should not do is wake up and go straight to your phone. And it's something I did for so many years, because what's happening is, and it's all science, is we're training our brains to be reactive and distracted. Oh, how many Facebook likes did I get? Did my Instagram post? And then my email, oh God, they're canceling the contract. And all of a sudden your brain goes there and it's not focused on the intent for the day. So when you stay focused on what your structure is for the day, you don't make excuses. You're saying no to things like agent happy hours, or broker opens. I say no to, I don't even respond. I'm not even checking my email, but I have, I probably get 30 invites a day. How many do you get? Or meetings with new lenders. I need meetings with new lenders like I need a hole in my head. So I say no all the time, and I have no guilt about it whatsoever. Can you come here? Nope. Can you come there? Nope. No excuse, no reason why. Just no, I can't, and I'm not going to.
Yeah. One of my mentors always says, focus is saying no. Right. Mm-hmm. And I remember hearing this story about this guy walked into this diner and he saw Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, and Bill Gates Sr. all at the same table. Right. So, I mean, the three of those people, that's like probably like 10% of the world's net worth, right. And he walked up to them and he saw them all three together and he asked them, like, what's the most important trait that you must have? What's the most important thing it takes to create the level of success that you all have created? And they all said the same exact thing, which is focus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. I used to think that like mindset wasn't as important as it is like who I am today, because I would just be like, oh, just tell me what to do. Like, tell me what CRM you're using and I'll do it. No, it's absolutely focused, because especially as the busier you get, the more it's going to become important. You don't have time to go spend 9 extra minutes on Facebook every week. And I think there should be an award for this. My screen time on my phone has gone down like 17%, 23%. I am not on my phone very much. When I'm at home, I put my phone in the other room so I'm not even tempted to touch it when I'm with my kids, so I'm present with my kids. When I'm in appointments, I don't ever, it's away. I don't care if it's just a lunch, my phone is away. And I'm fortunate enough that I have a team now that there's always going to be somebody to help on my team, and it doesn't have to be me anymore, because I know when you're a solo agent, it's part of your duties to your clients. So if anything, like your first hire always should be, it could just be Ruby, like the online receptionist. At least somebody's getting a live call. So if you can't afford an assistant today, but always like, I don't know how a solo agent exists and is happy.
So then we're doing this video. I don't know when everybody's watching this, because this lives out on the internet forever, definitely. But we're winding up 2019. We're midway through November 2019, and 2019 has been this insane year especially for technology. Right. I was talking with my good friend Leo Preha and we both got licensed in 2005, and we were saying, both agreed that in this year alone, we've seen more technology change, if you will, than we have had in this industry the other 13 years of our career combined.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some of that's good, some of that's bad. But what have been, maybe it is a system that you've been using pre-2019, but what are some of the your favorite tools or systems, that you've implemented in 2019 that have been, or like I said before, but that you're currently using right now that you're like, dude, I can't imagine operating without these things?
Yeah, there's a few. We did move from Boomtown this year, which I still think is a great platform, and it was a difficult decision to make when you're transferring over CRMs, especially for a bigger team. And the reason why, one of my biggest reasons why, was the reporting and also the recording of the calls. So everybody's required to call through FirePoint, and that way, like the coordinator calls, the agent can listen. If the agent calls or the ISA calls, the agent can listen. So everybody can hear each other, so we're all on the same page. It has a great tagging system for both messages. So when you do have a team, it's hard that it's never going to be like you're dealing with the same person, where of course they always know. But we don't want the clients to feel like the left hand's not talking to the right hand. So it was a way for us to get on the same page, and to also for efficiency, to make sure that our agents are following up with leads. With technology too, obviously AI is insanely efficient and effective. So we have implemented YLOPO, and in that aspect, it's totally reignited. We have a database of about 15,000 people, and it's woken a lot of the zombies up. And with that, though, I will say that AI and technology can go so far, but it's that human touch and leveling up in that aspect that gets us to the end. Like, we're not going to have AI cross the finish line. We're not going to have, we sometimes do wake up to appointments, I'm not going to lie, but it's that conversion rate in person. It's that client experience. So it's like 2019 may be the year where technology and it meets human, and both are more important than ever.
Yeah, love it. Love it. That's a great point, a great analogy. So then with FirePoint and YLOPO, with that stack, YLOPO sounds like that's more of the front end as far as the website, and then that all ties with FirePoint. So FirePoint is the CRM portion where YLOPO is the front end.
YLOPO actually can work within FirePoint for any lead source. So it could also work with our Facebook. It could work with our Zillow. It could work with our client referrals. It works on the back end. If you ask me too many details, I would have to bring Shaylin in here.
Yeah.
I have people, and it's not me behind the computer as the whiz. That is not my superpower.
Yep. No, love it. So then, I've got just a couple last questions for you because I know we're going longer on time here. But I wanted to talk about, a question that I get constantly is in reference to the brokerage that you're now with, right? And I believe because you were with RE/MAX for a long time, correct?
I was with RE/MAX for a number of years. I was the number one female RE/MAX team leader in 2017. And so earlier in this podcast, I talked about my tribe back in 2008. I really didn't have one. And actually what brought me to EXP was Kyle Whistle, who is the number one agent in San Diego for both units and volume, and Dan Beer, who runs one of the most profitable large teams I've ever seen. He was the number one KW agent in all of Southern California. And I had admired those guys for a long time. Kyle I'd known longer. He's always 10 steps ahead of me. Dan Beer, I was so impressed with Dan Beer, meeting him at a Fidelity event, that I offered him $5,000 to go to his office for the day. So when they both moved together in February of 2018, I'm like, okay, guys, I've seen a lot of people move over, but it wasn't until people that I really admired, knew, and respected move over that I wanted to know what was going on. And we all know that the people that we surround ourselves by are going to be the sum accumulation of our wealth. So I was really, once I learned about it, a week later, I signed the lease on the office space I have here. And my rent for my office space was the amount of RE/MAX fees I paid to have a balloon on my signs. No offense, but the value proposition of my brokerage that I was with did not help me build my business. And especially today, consumers don't care as much. They don't even know, like, oh, who are you with again? RE/MAX, the EXP, Global Banker? They don't know. I look at brokerage as it's just a platform to process our transactions. And it's just like if you go to your Fidelity advisor, like you're trading stocks. It's not the Fidelity advisor. They're just using that as a platform to trade any of the stocks you want. So, but I have business partners now. I have a lot of them. Jay Kinder, Julie DeRoche in Minnesota, which a lot of people that may not know her, she did 140 million in volume, and 93% of it was referral. I've never seen stats like that before. I'm learning so much, and 2008 shouldn't happen to me, right? Like, I shouldn't be caught with my pants down because I didn't know what was coming, because I am around the people that are charging forward and they're big names in the industry and they're profitable. So I have business partners that I never have to write a check to, and EXP has created this platform of revenue share. And the one thing I want the listeners to understand is revenue share doesn't mean you're changing from agent to recruiter. Revenue share is the mechanism that allows the collaboration to happen so we all could prosper together financially. And it also provides my agents an exit strategy. So someday, like, I don't know, we're all going to die. Like, I don't know. I think Dave Asprey wants to live to 170, but still he's going to die at some point. I don't want to be that agent that's like 85 years old, my hip goes out, a cat eats my face off, and that's how I go out, because I have to do real estate for the rest of my life. And I also want some passive income, multiple streams of income. So, I can take vacations and still make money and not just feel like, oh, not only was this vacation costing me $10,000, but I probably lost another $30,000 in revenue. So I love the fact that one of my agents here on my team told me a few months ago, oh, Jen, I just want you to know, I moved my retirement age up 3 years. So in 3 years, I'll be retiring. I couldn't have done that. I could not have provided that for her without EXP and the platform we have here. So it's not just about me. It was never just about me, why I moved over. I know the only way I can grow and cultivate and keep the valuable people that are awesome and also loyal, which is hard to find, by providing them this extra opportunity. So when they have a great experience with a co-list agent, I mean, I just had one recently. I'm like, thank God for the agent on the other end that we were able to have two extremely difficult clients, but we made it happen together. Thank you so much, Josh. It was such a pleasure. I'd love to get together with coffee for you, or maybe invite them to a mastermind. And, it's awesome too, because it totally changes the dynamic of the industry. So I joined the PTA and there's another agent in there. Okay, well, I might not get as many referrals for buyers and sellers, but there's a whole other opportunity and direction I can take that relationship with. And it's super, super fun. One of my good friends our boys are friends. She's an awesome agent, Ashley. And now we become extremely close and we're doing business together. And I brought her over from a brokerage that, didn't provide any value whatsoever. Actually, it was negative brokerage, but she, now it's fun. I get to work and play with agents, local in my market, not local in my market, doesn't matter. There's no boundaries. We're in all 50 states. We're in Canada. We just opened Australia. We're growing fast. We're growing fast for a reason, but it allows us to work with each other. And I sometimes just tell people, dude, let's work together. It'll be fun. Let's do it. So, it's exciting. And that has been one of the most exciting things that I've had in my real estate career.
Yeah, love it. Powerful stuff. So then one last question for you. When we first started this podcast, you talked about the mistakes, right? You're like, we could do a 15-hour podcast and not, cover close to all of them. But with all of this being said, if you look at your whole entire career, your real estate career, if Jennifer today, right now, could go back to Jennifer when you first started this journey and give yourself 2 pieces of advice that you feel would have just massively fast forward your trajectory to the success journey that you're on, and again, knowing everything you know now today, what would those 2 pieces of advice be?
That's a good one. Maybe one I wasn't prepared for. The first one, just because my personality type, if anybody's familiar with the DISC, I have 0 S. I think actually I have a 3 out of 100, which means I make decisions extremely quickly, sometimes without thinking it through, which is still good that at least I'm making decisions, but sometimes it's pause, reflect, and then make the decision. And as a person, when you're bringing people into your world, or you're going to implement technology, or if you're going to add a different pillar of business, like visualizing it first. And a lot of that, again, is going to come down to mindset. So mindset, like number 1, focus on yourself, self-care. Last year, I was, I wouldn't maybe necessarily say overweight, but I had a terrible diet. I drank too much alcohol. And today I 14% body fat, I'm growing muscle, I can outrun my kids, and I'm a different person, and I've never been that person in my life. So self-care, mindset, pause, visualize, think. It's kind of a lot loaded in one. And then number 2 is the people that you surround yourself by, whether it be the people on your team, whether it be the people in your organization, whether it be just your tribe. One of my favorite books is by Tim Ferriss, Tribe of Mentors. And it's one of my, it's my most gifted book right now. And everything, I think Seth Godin, I know Seth Godin wrote a book on it because it's also one of my gifted books, is he wrote a book called Tribes. So look at the people you're surrounding yourself by and top grade that list. Do you have people that are complacent, negative, not growing? Maybe you need to spend more time with people that are on the opposite end of the spectrum, that are growing, they're positive, they're encouraging, and they're at a level that you want to get to. So, and it could just even be within the people in your organization. I had a top agent on my team last year before I moved over to EXP, and a great salesperson. And little did I know that she had been poisoning some of my team members of my team. And, it was sad, but at the same time, I know one bad person can, one bad apple can spoil the whole barrel.
Yep, 100%. Powerful words. And real quick, for those that are watching and listening that want to just check out what you're up to, follow you, maybe they have a referral for you in your market here in Phoenix, Arizona area, or maybe they're interested in talking to you about EXP, because there's not a day that goes by that I don't get a dozen questions about that, but maybe they want to talk to you further about that experience. Like where's the best place, Jennifer, for people to follow you and maybe get in touch with you?
Well, there's a few different avenues. I'm on both Facebook and Instagram. So I know those are like CRMs, even more than like a website now. So Jennifer Wehner, WEHNER. No, it is not Wiener. It's Wehner. I was 18 once when I first met my husband. Jennifer.Wehner on Instagram, Jennifer Wehner on Facebook, WehnerGroup.com. You can find me on Zillow, Jennifer Wehner. And send me a private message. I respond to all of my messages. If it's not me, it's my executive assistant, but she can definitely set us a time up to talk. And one thing I'll leave you with is we do have I don't know if you use Calendly. It's like such a time saver for us. And if you wanted a free business consult just to learn more about your business and what your goals are, she can send you a free 30-minute Calendly link so you could schedule a time for me and you to talk.
Awesome. And wherever you guys are watching and listening, whatever platform that you're on, we'll have links to all of those websites and Jennifer's social media accounts, all of that below. So we'll make it super easy on you where you can just go below and click. And as always, I end every podcast with this, but information without implementation is truly just the start of delusion. Information isn't power. It's taking that information, taking massive action on it that gives you the power to create the life that you know you truly want and deserve. And you guys, Jennifer shared so many amazing, powerful pieces of advice with you today. Make sure to take something that you learned and go out there and take immediate action on it. So again, you can create the life that you know you want and deserve. And Jennifer, I truly appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to be here. This has been a lot of fun and a huge honor.
Awesome, Josh. I really appreciate it and love the value you bring into our industry, always leveling up. So awesome job. And, I'll be listening to your podcast again tomorrow with somebody else, way more amazing than me, but it's awesome that you're providing so much to this industry. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for the kind words. Truly means a lot. And all right, you guys, well, thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll see you next time. Peace. Hope you enjoyed this GSD Mode podcast episode. Now make sure you get shit done and smash that subscribe button now.